Okay, my friends, welcome to our final workshop on our employee engagement study. Thank you all for attending. This is going to be recorded so that we can share with all of our pilot participants, but really hoping to make this an engaged conversation. So please type in the chat, raise your hand. You can unmute yourself freely. Would love your input all throughout. So unfortunately, I will not be joined by my fearless partner, Mike Juggins, today. He is conducting a market training today. But in true Mike fashion, he has submitted a incredible video, pre-recorded video, where he wants to share a few updates. So I'm going to go ahead and press play. If somebody could just give me the thumbs up and just confirm that you can hear this on your side, I would appreciate it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to take a quick minute to say thank you for all of your hard work during the test program for
Whoop.
the employee engagement program. What started as a small passion project back in 2016 for Megan and I, and then, has evolved through new members of the team and through new excitement coming from the field, has really turned into one of our favorite initiatives of the year. And, I just want to take a minute to thank each and every one of you SPA leaders because, without your efforts, we don't have employee engagement, we don't have employee experience. And I just want to remind you how important your role is in how your employees feel when they come to work every day, how they feel about the company that they work for. You're in complete control of that. And I know sometimes it can be a lot to be a spa leader. I was a spa manager when I started with Hand and Stone too, and I remember those days. And there's always 100 things to get done in the day, but I really encourage you to dig deep and remember that if we put our employees first, they're going to work harder, they're going to come to work more often, they're going to stay working for us longer. And while those items aren't necessarily measurable in a Zenoti report or in the BI tool, they result in higher performance. They result in less need to hire, or when you're hiring new employees, it's because your team is growing and not because you're replacing people that leave. So we think employee engagement is really one of the big initiatives going forward because it touches so many different parts of our business. And the right leaders and the right mindset can have such a powerful impact on the people who work for us. So again, I just want to take a minute to say thank you so much for helping us to learn in this test program. Our goal with the pilot group that we put together was to learn about the system that we built, to give feedback back to our partner, Go Happy. And they've been great listeners as well. We've learned a lot from your experiences, and they've taken a lot of the feedback that we've shared with them, and they've made their systems better because of the work that you guys have done. And how exciting, right? And so Megan's going to talk a little bit about next steps today. Your feedback, in just like with any pilot we do, your feedback as the participants in the pilot group is very important and will help guide us forward as to what we do with this. Our vision is that we continue to develop this system and roll it out chain wide, and we hope that your feedback will support that and help us again to continue to make the system better before it ends up in front of all 500 plus of our locations nationwide and in Canada. So thanks for your hard work. Thanks for all of your thoughts and your feedback. We've got some great tips from some of the other members of our operations team today that I'm really excited about. And this employee engagement is going to be an ever-evolving initiative, and we're committing, Megan and I, really, to continue to push this along, to have these conversations, to learn from you, our spa leaders, and continue to make our resources an ever-evolving tool. So we've got some great members of our operations team that have helped us put together the new version of the employee engagement toolkit. We're going to work to finalize that document and get that out to the chain in the coming weeks as well. If you have any final feedback, or if you have any ideas that we can add to the employee engagement toolkit, please shoot us an email, let us know, so that we can get your ideas and your feedback into that guide before the final draft of this version 2.0 hits the entire chain. And then we'll continue to collect feedback and ideas and make that tool even better as well. So, one final thank you so much for all your hard work, for your dedication to your employees, and making everybody feel like a human being, like they matter, because they do. And just remember, we're in the people business. So make sure to take care of your people. If you need help, if you need development, we've got great resources on the operations team at Hand & Stone Corporate, and we're happy to help and connect you with those great resources that we've got. So enjoy our last Create Action session today. Megan's got some great things lined up. I'm sorry I couldn't join today, but again, we really appreciate all your hard work and efforts with this test program. And we're super excited to see where this goes next. So have a great webinar, guys.
All right. Thanks, Virtual Mike. I'm going to take a second and move some of our attendees over to panelists so that they can speak. Welcome to a few of our late joiners here. There's Lisa bringing her meatballs. Love that. I'm just wondering how many people have no clue what I mean by that, and just sort of giggling to myself. Moving over Rachel, Stephanie. All right, great. Okay, so as Mike shared, we're going to go ahead and dig in a little bit and talk through a few topics, some suggestions that we have from the ops team. We really want your input on the process. We want to know a little bit more about action and impact, get some feedback on toolkits, and we're going to also share a few of our favorite tips. I've got 4 different ops managers, members of the ops team, that have shared some things that they've pulled out of the employee engagement toolkit to bring into their field visits in these last couple of months. And we're going to expand on some of that. And then ultimately, I'm going to ask you the question, as pilot participants, we want to know, where do we go from here? So Mike and I have put together a bit of an idea on how we're going to launch this to the system, if we're going to launch it, and how that's going to be adopted by a greater percentage of the system. And we'll seek your advice on that. So let's hit it. Okay, so first things first is this toolkit, because I really feel, it's one thing to be able to measure employee engagement, which is so exciting that we now have a platform that helps us measure this and really quantify effort. But our focus is always, here's the prescription. What are our next steps? How do we impact positive change here? So that's really where this toolkit comes into play. I think it's around 60 pages of great ideas, where we've done tremendous research and seek the assistance of other members of the ops team to create. But I really do want to take a minute to kind of get the conversation flowing, and hopefully many of you will feel welcome to pitch in and share your thoughts on some of these initiatives and others. But let's go ahead. What I'm going to do is I've asked 4 members of our operations team to pull and expand on some of the ideas that were referenced in this toolkit. The first is Chelsea Adams, and I had a call with her prior to today. She is on a field visit today, so she is not going to be able to join us, but I wanted to know from her mind, and I know how invested she is on the employee engagement side. This is definitely something that's very close to her heart. She has really, really helped shape the engagement that we have on our very own ops team. So I asked Chelsea if she could just expand a bit on one of the ideas offered in the toolkit, and to no surprise of mine, her absolute favorite one was the section on page 51 that speaks to small acts of kindness. And I think what this message is, we're going to expand for a moment on what this is, but the true message here is, I think there's a lot of people on the line today that feel like, gosh, should I really give this my all? I understand when I show up to these webinars, how important this topic is, but I'm not sure I've really made measurable, moves on this topic. And with Chelsea's tip here, she reminds us that it is things we are doing right now. And I know that there are people out there that are really taking these steps, and you've nailed it when it's, a subconscious step you take, where it's just simply in the details of your approach. So let me expand on this a little bit. Small acts of kindness, the question when to apply, it's as often as you possibly can. encouraging small acts of kindness is one tool that many help with to spread kindness in the workplace. So it's a measurable trait that is not only contagious, but actively promoted. It can also improve health, productivity, and reduce absenteeism. So we can make a habit of asking one simple question whenever leaders and team members engage with someone: how can I help this person have a better day? And I just love that. If we set that intention at the start of each day, at the start of each shift, this is where we nail it. So something as simple as writing a kind note to someone in the spa, or to bring your team member coffee or a donut. Definitely Chelsea has a sweet tooth, so I see that donut suggestion there. That's her wink to us. But just these small little acts of kindness that really land so nicely for a member of the team. And I think there's some people out there that are doing things like this. So can you go ahead and unmute yourself and maybe share if there's any example you can think of that you've done in these last couple of months? Anybody out there? I know you're all out. I know your names, and I know you have had moments of small acts of kindness. I would love a few examples.
I unmuted myself.
Okay.
Can you turn that off for a second? Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hi, Jessica. You there?
Can't tell. I'm on it. Can you turn that off?
I hear you.
Hey, my name's Jessica. I'm the operations manager for Short Pump, Richmond, West End, and Chesterfield in Virginia. And I just wanted to jump on and say that this was kind of a huge thing that we wanted to focus on within our spas based on our feedback of just appreciation. And one thing that we dived into really quickly was putting together anniversary boxes.
Yes.
And so that made a big impact on a lot of our therapists, especially people that have been with the company for a long time, stayed with us through COVID. Last year was difficult. And to kind of reintroduce them back to the company and thank them for having been with us for however long they've been with us was really nice.
Oh, that's great. Can you expand on what an anniversary box is?
Sure. So our owners provide new uniforms for our team every year. And so if you're a full-time employee, you get 2 new uniforms. Part-time employee, you get 1. So we made little uniform tickets that we gave out, kind of a nicer ticket that we gave to them with the box, as well as their anniversary pins for whichever year they were on, and a gift. So we chose a gift for anyone that was having an anniversary this year. We purchased enough for the whole team. And then one of our managers, Catherine, she printed a really nice sticker for the top of a box, and it just said happy anniversary, thanks so much. Aww. And the managers wrote a note to each person thanking them for their time.
What a huge way to celebrate them, where it would you say it's like, not tremendous effort, but the impact is monumental. That's how it sounds to me.
Absolutely. And I mean, our owners were really involved in the feedback and trying to come up with different things and plans. And we were very lucky to have, some money put forward, but I mean, we're talking $10 gifts really at the end of the day. And we have a large staff, but each person that got a gift was super appreciative. And I think making it look nice and putting it together as a gift was really nice versus just like a shout out's great, but something for an anniversary. We have people that have been with us for 7+ years. Wow. And it was really nice to have something to hand them in person.
That's fantastic. That's so much fun. It's, it's kind of, it merges the professional side with the people side, that personal touch. That's amazing. I love that. Thank you so much, Jessica. I've admired your work for years. And you're a real gift to Hand and Stone. I love that you're able to share that with other people on the line. Awesome.
Thank you. Happy. Yep.
Anyone else want to share a few ideas here? Small acts of kindness. And we're talking about on the client side too here, writing a personalized card to members. Oh, looks like we have a great little chat here coming in from Katie. I'm going to read this out loud. She doesn't have a microphone that works, but she's brought breakfast for the team on busy weekends. Food, I'll tell you what, do not underestimate the power of food. I've done gotcha cards. Ooh, gotcha cards, where if you caught someone going above and beyond. Ooh, I think this was in one of our weekly spotlights where you caught somebody that goes above and beyond the position. You can redeem these cards for discounts off of enhancements for services for themselves. But we put up daily affirmations in the break room, something just positive that you look at every single day when you go to open the door to leave the break room and go back into the spa area. Ooh, what a nice act of kindness. I love that. Really great suggestion. Thank you, Katie. Excellent. So, really great tip shared by Chelsea. This is one of the tips that are in our toolkit. And thank you to our two participants that shared some details on how they're bringing this into their spas. I'm going to hand it over to Miss Marlo Metcalf, who's actually calling in from Toronto, Canada, as if that's not the coolest thing in the world.
Here I am.
Marla, thanks for joining us. I would love if you would just expand with the people that are on the line about your favorite tip from the toolkit, and then we'll open it up to see if anyone has any great, true life examples of this.
Yeah, so my favorite tip is the stay interviews. And it was actually a concept that was brought up to me when I took over the Canadian market. One of our owners up here does it, and it's in our employee engagement program toolkit for the US. And what I love about it, so it's kind of like a check-in with your staff. And it's something that we recommend doing at least once a year. Try and do it with the majority of the team at once, just in case, you do have to implement something new, or you want to hear if multiple people are saying the same thing, that sort of thing. But try not to do it around too many annual review times. Have it separate so you have two really significant check-ins with your team each year. And what the stay interview is trying to accomplish is seeing why are employees staying with you? What's their feedback? What can you improve upon? Really soliciting this feedback can be a feel-good moment for you, as well as your staff, most importantly. So going into these, kind of some advice that we have is not being afraid of receiving feedback. So how I kind of think of it is an SMG survey, but from your staff, right? So we want the honesty, because it's not maybe things that they would just tell us one-off. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. So one owner in particular that I have in mind does the stay interviews, but then keeps it simple also. Whenever he's in the spa, he kind of has those in mind, and he'll ask, a certain employee, like, so how is so-and-so, going now? Or, have you seen any changes? Or, did you notice that I put a new Keurig machine in the break room or something like that? Always keeping them in mind and keeping it simple as well. You have to prepare also for the full spectrum of feedback. You're going to get things from think of your SMG surveys, right? From the type of soap that you have in your bathroom, which is true. If Shannon's on the line, she's gotten this SMG survey.
Yep.
To something bigger, to an employee benefit of some sort. So full spectrum, our staff can really think of some really crazy things. And then be prepared to act, right? So don't do these stay interviews and then not plan to do anything with the feedback, right? So you're getting this feedback because you're at a point where you want to be a preferred employer, you want your staff to be happy, and you don't know what else they're looking for or what they want. So be prepared to make some changes as well. Over to the right, we put some sample questions for you to ask in these stay interviews. Another kind of tip that I would suggest doing is do these interviews in a place where they feel comfortable. So whether it's a treatment room, or a coffee shop or something like that. I think sometimes they can get nervous being in the manager's office. You don't want to do it out in the lobby or anything, but try and pick a spot where they're going to be more comfortable to open up and really have this open conversation.
Thank you so much, Marlo. I love all of these suggestions. And honestly, if we put this into perspective for the people that are on the line here, we did anonymous surveying via GoHappy via our surveys, and we ultimately solicited their, their score on how we're doing. So we've now proven our level of investment in knowing where we stand. So having these in-person, more transparent versions of surveys where they are in front of us and they can share exactly how they feel on these topics, I think is really just the obvious next step. I do love your point here, Marlo, that it wouldn't be done during the annual review. I think it is important that this be its own conversation in isolation, but also the importance of choosing who you're going to be asking for this feedback of in a specific time span so that you could put all of that feedback together. I think sometimes when you get feedback from just one person, it's easy for us to write it off as, I'm not sure they get it, or they're not really, you're not necessarily going to value it. But if you hear the same thing from multiple people, then I think we have to take that seriously.
Yeah, I like, Megan, also another thing I think you and I talked about was starting with some of your veteran staff first when you first start implementing this, because, they've been around the longest, they're loyal to us, and we care about them. And, I think I feel like going back to making it simple too, like don't overthink this. Like just speaking from experience with Hannon Stone and my leaders, such as yourself, Megan, John Tezza, Anita, they're always checking in and saying, do you have everything that you need to do your job? Right? Do you need anything from us? Just proactively asking those kind of questions. And it really creates a really strong culture of coming across as very available and wanting to assist when they can.
Mm-hmm. Really love that. Anybody on the line want to share a little bit of their own version? Anybody who has either conducted a stay interview or intends to, if you want to share with the other panelists on the line. Thank you very much, Marlo. Okay, I'm going to go to the next tip, but please, by all means, if you're typing, I will take note in the chat here. Our next tip comes to us from Lauren Cloza, a name you're probably very familiar with since she hosts our manager webinars. Her favorite tip was the GROW model for coaching. And what I love about this, I have to say, this one hits home. I am a huge advocate for monthly check-ins and performance reviews, essentially taking a look back at the previous month and customizing a plan one-on-one with members of the team. But sometimes where I fall short is making sure our leaders know how to conduct a conversation like that, how to have that conversation more from a coaching aspect or an advisory aspect versus a review where you feel like you're getting scored on whether you've done a good job or not. And, that's something I sometimes underestimate how much our leaders need in terms of development and guidance on how to conduct an impactful conversation like that. So I love that Lauren has chosen this tip here. Her recommendation is to apply this towards our monthly check-ins and also as needed. But she coins the phrase GROW model, where you leave the session by having established the following. So it's a time-bound, measurable, realistic goal. So this is where you have the member of the team agree, the two of you collaborating on what a realistic goal really looks like for this person to be able to achieve that they find motivating. Even if you ask that question, do you find this motivating? What you and your team will do and when. So this is where the leader takes just as much of a role in seeing this goal achieved as the person you're prescribing this goal to. What obstacles are in the way and how will they be overcome? So that's where you're soliciting that true vulnerability from the member of your team, where you're asking them to tell you, what, if anything, will stand in your way? What do you think is the biggest hurdle with reaching this type of a goal? And then you're going to also agree on how the team's going to remain motivated. What frequency of check-in and updates do you want? How do you want to receive feedback throughout this next month, let's say? Do you want to be given advice regularly? Would you rather it be in a more, organized manner where we have a quick little check-in throughout the month in the privacy of the office? Is that how you prefer this type of, is that what you will consider motivating? When and how often do you want it to receive these updates and things like that? This is actually something I'll share. I've been working with one of our team leaders who's, out in the field observing the members of the ops team deliver field visits. And, we talked just this morning about the importance of asking the members of our team when and how they want to hear feedback. Do they want to leave the field visit and go straight to a coffee shop and hear, okay, what did you think of today? Do they want it more in writing? I know Marlo, I used you as an example this morning. Marlo's going to want it in writing because she's going to want to refer to it before her next field visit. And in 2 or 3 months from now to reflect back and say, how do I feel like I've done with this feedback? Do you want us to take a few days to really process and reflect on what we observed and then provide this feedback in a more formal fashion? We have to, as leaders, cater to the methods that our members of our team desire most, that they find most helpful, rather than just have a plan where we can remain consistent on our end. So I think that's a true life example I can offer right there. We have some sample questions in the toolkit that could really help you apply this GROW model for coaching. Anybody on the line want to share a little bit of how they've adopted this method, or ask any questions on the approach? Okay, we're going to go ahead with our final recommendation. Miss Kelsey is actually on the line. She has joined us, and she's going to actually be the new voice of the manager's webinar. She's going to be co-hosting with Lauren Closa. So you can get used to her beautiful voice and all of the gems she has to offer. Kelsey, do we have you?
I'm here with my beautiful voice.
Your beautiful voice and gems you have to offer. Look at that.
Yes.
Well,
So,
bestow your wisdom. What's your favorite?
My favorite tip from the employee engagement toolkit is the new hire buddy mentor system. And this is near and dear to my heart when reflecting on all of my years of managing in the spa and realizing that I had a lot of longevity on my team when it came to aesthetics and massage. And sometimes, unfortunately, I would lose that talent because I wasn't able to leverage it properly. And I think that oftentimes, or at least in my own experience, I would get in the mindset that I had to utilize my leads for everything. And then it didn't allow opportunity for those on my team that were talented and invested and engaged. And then at times they would leave me because they needed growth and different opportunity and a chance to spread their wings. So as Mike had mentioned in his video, as a spa manager or an owner, you have a million things going on and you're trying to juggle all the tasks at hand. And I think that the new hire buddy mentor system allows us to work smarter and not harder, and allows us to leverage that talent that we do have on the team. I do support some owners that have actually split up their lead position, who will have a lead esthetician and then an aesthetics trainer, or whatever this looks like. But it doesn't even necessarily have to be a title with certain monetary value. It's just utilizing who's on your team and recognizing who is that ideal player, right? That person that is invested, that does things correctly, that is excited when we bring on new talent and willing to connect with them. When you have a buddy mentor system and can divide up this training or have this as a go-to person for that new hire, it also makes that new hire feel welcomed. They have a point person, somebody outside of just the management team or the leadership team, and somebody that they can go to have that inclusive feeling within the spa, to allow them to get to meet others. So I think that the new hire buddy mentor system is something I wish I would have utilized in the past or had this come to mind, but it's something that can be utilized in all departments. And I think oftentimes we think that people need a monetary value to feel appreciated, but sometimes it's as simple as just recognizing their talent, trusting them, and utilizing them in different ways and giving them responsibility. So
This is a great one, Kelsey. I'll tell you, talk about double missions. Everybody on this line I know has so many tasks they have to deliver on day in and day out. And the idea of being able to solicit the assistance of others in the spa, that's definitely serving its own purpose right then and there. So that's awesome. Love it. Does anybody want to share how they implement this tip within their spa or ask any questions? I've got to figure out how to make this engagement study more engaged. There's some irony.
I have a question. I just unmuted myself.
Yeah, great.
If you're doing this, do you recommend, choosing someone within the same department, or would it be something where you're just looking at, friendly senior people within the company? Because I kind of like the idea of it being more of a like spa culture buddy system, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think you honestly can go in different directions here. And I would love to hear what other people on the line think with this. I think there's value in going outside of the either department, or in your case, you have multiple spas. There's value that serves a different purpose than somebody in their exact department. Something we're really focused on internally at the corporate office, I think I maybe shared this on our last workshop, was interdepartment communication. There's a lot of articles about basically making sure that you don't have silo mentality within your organization. So, separate departments operating in their own world and not really connected to others. So what a cool way to have a new member of the team learn a little bit about the purpose of other departments. And then even outside of the spa that they're in, because I think anytime you can remind them that they're a part of a bigger organization, the more relevant it's going to be when you do bring them together, or when you have contests from one spa to another. So I think you could go a couple of ways here. Anybody have any other advice that they want to share with Jessica on how they would envision this rollout? Sorry, Jessica. You're on your own.
Oh, wait, here comes Marlo.
I've seen the mentor program done before, but specifically in the massage department, they get paired up with a veteran that's been asked, do you want to be a buddy?
Mm-hmm.
And it takes them. So especially if you have a larger team, the lead isn't being inundated with like a bunch of questions, or you have the buddy that you can go to and they're going to show you, things in the back. They're going to help you with questions on upgrades and things like that. And especially with people coming right out of school, I think it's great to have that built-in mentor. And then I love the idea of even promoting that within either your job description or your interview, that, when you come on, you do have a mentor and a buddy to make sure you get up and running and all your questions can be answered.
It's funny. Now you just reminded me, I've seen this play out on the aesthetic side. I actually haven't heard of the massage side, so I'm glad you added that. And it's when they're sister spas. So an esthetician that you wouldn't otherwise work with because they're working at a different location, and having that partnership, and it could be by way of a contest or competition, or it could just simply be, a nice exchange where one person is performing higher than another, and they're kind of lending themselves to one another. So that's a whole nother way we can take this. Excellent. Great question, Jessica. Thank you. So I would love, even beyond this workshop, if anybody is welcome to, communicate feedback to either directly to Mike or I, or on our Facebook group that we created back in, I would say about a month ago. We have an employee engagement pilot Facebook page that I'd love to keep alive. We have Lisa's great meatball recipe on there, but I would love to hear more on the topic of engagement, although that is a great tool. I'll tell you, I almost crashed your meeting this past weekend when I saw you were frying them up. But really, want to hear from you about how you're taking the tips that are outlined in this toolkit and applying it in your spot. And, again, I'll reiterate, I know you are doing some of these things, whether you realize that it's in a page in the toolkit or not. These are decisions that you're making on how to approach the members of your team, how to proceed, how to react to certain things that have challenged you. And you're definitely applying some of these things. Katie shared, I think this is a great idea, especially for locations that have been deemed cliquey. Oh, that's a really good point. And some of the employees only because they have been together for so long, it eliminates that feeling. What a great point. I had never considered, Katie, when you've got an established group and it's like, you're the new person. We all go back to like middle school when you felt like you were, the new kid in class here. And it's great to have a group that has such a strong bond, but when you introduce a new member to the team, they're either going to feel included or excluded. There's only those two options. So that's a really good point there, Katie. Thank you. Okay, so let's go ahead and proceed here. And this is where I'm really begging you to unmute and type in the chat here. Mike and I want to know, where do we go from here? Do you feel we are ready to roll this concept out to the system, partnering with GoHappy, introducing the concept of this anonymous surveying system, but just as much, if not more, having actionable items where our system feels more encouraged and supported and guided in how to impact positive change in this area? Check yes or no. We've got one yes. Okay, we got 22 people on the line, so I'm going to at least need 11 yeses for me to say where everyone's on board. So we got 2 yeses. That's awesome. That's great. 3, woo! Yes, 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 yes. I'm up to 5 yeses. 6. I haven't had any no's. Oh my gosh, I'm very excited. Yes, caps and 6 exclamation points. Very good. Oh, love it, love it, love it. Okay, I think I got my answer. Thank you, everybody. We are ready to roll this out to the system. So our plan was, we're thinking we want to position this as an employee engagement initiative, not a partnership with GoHappy, because in my mind and Mike's mind, GoHappy is just, the vessel that's going to allow us to give us that important knowledge about where we stand when we hit start, right? So in our minds, that's the way to position this, is that this is an employee engagement initiative and GoHappy is just one small piece of this plan. So love to hear if everyone thinks that that's the right way. We really want to, from your perspective, because we're just the kind of, we're coming up with these visions, but you're the ones that have to do the hard work. Do you believe that that's going to be adopted by a greater percentage of the system if we position it more as an employee engagement initiative? Or do you think actually the survey, the GoHappy partnership and the survey is actually what we should lead with? What's everyone thinking? Okay, so I'm hearing from, looks like Justin thinks that the employee initiative is really what we should lead with. Does anyone else feel differently? Employee engagement for sure. Awesome. Okay, good. I just love hearing from everybody that you think we've got this right. And please do not be bashful if you think we're missing it. Retention, use the word retention. I think that's important. Yes. Okay. So I'm hearing we've got to make sure that survey is featured. That survey is definitely key, and just having that anonymous piece to it. Love it. Yeah. So honestly, I agree with you, Henry, when you say retention, because this is, to me, this is half of, the other half of recruiting. If we can retain and achieve these type of, benefits over here on the top right, if we can make our mark there, then recruiting isn't as big of a need as it is currently right now. Very good. Member retention is another piece here. Yeah. So you're all really helping me here figure out how this needs to be positioned so that everybody that's reading the invitation to this webinar understands exactly what we're hoping to achieve here. So this is great, great feedback. Excellent. Need to have some positive results, real change to share with the chain in order to get their commitment. Absolutely. I completely agree. Yeah, I'll definitely be, knocking on everyone's door, the people that have been a part of this pilot, and just asking for, maybe some quotes on how being a part of this has really benefited you, and just that raw reaction. I know a lot of us were kind of had to take a deep breath when we saw some of the scores, and especially some of the comments were just, gosh, we thought we were really hitting the mark here, and it was humbling, right? So how do you, now that we're a few months past that initial shock of what those surveys said, how has that helped you in your role, whether you are an owner or a spa manager or regional manager? How did this impact you, and having this knowledge? So would love if everyone could just, send me a quick little something. And if you can't, I will just ask until you do. No, I'm kidding. Very good. Okay. So then the next point we had here is that we were going to offer system-wide surveying for the participants as a predetermined time of the year. This is something I'm not sure everybody's going to be on board with, so I would really love everyone's opinion. Mike and I really want to launch the full on, the initial survey that all of you were a part of, which is the true employee engagement survey. We want to pick a date, a predetermined time of year, so that everybody that has signed on to Go Happy can participate at the same time. And the number one reason we want to do it this way is so that we can benchmark within Hannon Stone. So we have benchmarking through Go Happy in general, outside of our industry, which I think is very, very important. But we also, Mike and I really want to have benchmarking within our company as well. And we wouldn't be able to achieve that if we had other factors in terms of like time of year, or, if some questions were removed and things like that. So we do think that the employee engagement survey itself that you were a part of really should be launched to everybody that participates at the same time. Now, this does not mean you will not have access to every other survey that's within the system, all of those pulse surveys. And we're actually working very closely with Go Happy to put quite a few stock surveys in there for you to use as often as you want. So you'll still, as a user of Go Happy, have tremendous opportunity to control surveys within your own spa or spas, if you're a part of a multi-unit organization. So you'll have the freedom to do that as often as you want, but having that employee engagement study be as a pre-selected time, what are people thinking about that? Are we thinking that we could get the system on board with having the employee engagement study launched at a predetermined time? If anyone could just unmute themselves or throw in the chat, do you think we can get the system on board with that? Yes, I completely agree with you, Henry, when you say we want to stay away from the holidays. Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to have to put our heads together and really make sure that we're doing this at the best possible time. We want to put this opportunity in front of everyone. I would say probably within a month from now, but if we go much further than, I would say, the end of September, very beginning of October, it really would have been, in my eyes, a wasted effort, because we want to make sure when we ask the team what we can do better, that we're in a position where we could actually deliver on that. So I definitely agree. We have to stay away from the holidays, even if it means this ends up being a 2022 initiative in Q1. I think it's very important to stay away from the holiday. If it's well communicated, it'll be successful. But we always have those that don't want to. But yep, absolutely. And we know we won't see full adoption, but anyone that does sign on to this, I just want to make sure it's not a disappointment to the owners and the managers that they wouldn't be able to launch this. You know, the employee engagement. It's recommended that it not be done more than, I believe, once a year, actually, to have the big survey. But there's so many little pulse surveys that you could do either for new hires or when a new service is launched or a new manager comes on board. Very good. Okay. And we have some people that are agreeing to the predetermined time. Very good. Awesome. Thank you. I love that. Marlo, are you able to see the chat as well? Or Kelsey?
Not really, no.
You can't see it?
Mhm.
Kelsey, you can?
Yes.
Can you take a screenshot? I have some really great quotes from Allison and Jessica. If you don't mind just taking a quick little screenshot of that so that I don't lose those.
Happy
I
to
love
do so.
that. Thank you so much to everyone that's sharing. And, you know, the other piece here is, you know, I just want to reiterate how invested Mike and I are in making sure the action follows, you know, something like what we're doing today, bringing everybody together, a meeting of the minds. You know, Mike and I do want to, once this is rolled out to the system, offer regular workshops where anybody that is partnered with Go Happy, and, you know, on board with the employee engagement initiative can come and just really kind of brainstorm like we're doing today. So we think that's an important piece of this initiative, start, middle, and end, to really make sure that you have that safe space where you can come together and kind of talk through, you know, what your hurdles are and what, you know, initiatives are really working well for you and your team. We are also, I'll tell you two things in the Go Happy world. One is they have committed to making sure that there is owner access to the dashboard. So I know one person commented on it was hard to decipher the feedback, and absolutely, we hear that. We felt that ourselves, to have that feedback in a PDF versus being able to log into a dashboard. So they have 100% committed, and frankly, Mike refuses to move forward until the people that are partners with Go Happy can access this via dashboard. So really love the push there, and Go Happy has seen the value in that, and they will 100% deliver. And then the other piece is they are also going to be creating a video tutorial on how you can decipher these scores. So, you know, when you see something that's in the 60s, you know, the student in me thinks, oh my gosh, we failed, right? But 61 is actually average. So what am I supposed to think and feel when I see these scores? And that's something that they're working on, so that anybody that partners with Go Happy has that clear guidance before you have to actually attend a webinar. So that's how we did it for our pilot participants. You kind of were left scratching your head, not sure how to feel until you attended our webinar when we first hosted how to interpret your results. But Go Happy has committed to putting together a training video on that, so that you're not, you get your results and then you're also getting guidance on how to interpret it immediately. I think that was really important feedback that we gained from this pilot. So great. So I think this is all systems a go. Love your input and endorsement in this. So I do want to ask a few more specific questions. Again, this is just me sharing what Mike and I have determined on our end based on your feedback. But here's what we've learned from the actual survey itself, the initial survey. The importance of having owners talk to managers ahead of time about what to expect. You know, it was not lost on me that we got the permission from spa owners, but essentially the questions are about spa managers. And how important is it to make sure managers understand the value in launching this survey and soliciting this type of really raw feedback? It is a step I think Mike and I missed. And, you know, for that, we apologize. And I think that's why we want to, you know, conduct a thorough pilot, is to learn from it and make sure we roll this out to the system. So we definitely learned that. We also learned the importance of having that QR code available, and giving that advice to the spa managers is to have a QR code that directly links to the survey. We sent out 3 text messages, but how important is it to have that QR code right at the front desk so that you could say, hey, did you go ahead and take that survey that was text to you? No worries. Just grab your phone right now and just go ahead and scan this code so that you could take that survey. We had some people in the system that had a 100% participation rate, which was really awesome. And they did share with us that they had this handy. So I think that's important. Just more assistance in processing the emotions when the comments and scores come in. I definitely felt like I reacted to that versus giving people the heads up. I mean, you can't help but feel emotional when you're reading, from anybody, even if it's just one person that doesn't score you, at the highest of high. I can only imagine how that would feel for me as a leader if I found out I wasn't, hitting the mark on every member of my team's, requests and needs. But just offering a little bit more proactive support on that. Definitely spoke to already the importance of having a dashboard versus a PDF. That's very important. And that Go Happy video that I just referenced as well is just being able to translate the scores immediately rather than having to wait for a webinar that Mike and I hosted. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to take this time to share that you think would improve the rollout specific to the initial survey? Or even if someone could just type in the chat that you think this covers it. Anything else to add here? Very good. Okay, that's a great advice. Some examples of responses, essentially kind of what you can learn. How the teams reacted, very good. Lisa thinks we nailed it here, very good. Awesome. Okay, and feel free, if this isn't the forum that you want to provide this type of feedback, no worries at all. You can go ahead and just email Mike and I directly. So very good. Now on the action plan, so that's when the real work came in, where we had to commit to a plan, communicate what we've learned, take action and perfect that plan. Anybody have any feedback on what Mike and I offered in terms of, we had a few supporting material. We had, the advice of having advisory committees before you launched. We offered some slides that you could be able to put in front of the team when you did get the scores, just to let them know what you've learned from it. The toolkit, of course. Anybody have any feedback on any of those items that we put in front of you? Okay, I think we got it. Oh, we've got a note here. Loved it. Very good. Okay, great. Love the encouragement that some of these tools were helpful for everyone out in the system. Very good. Great. Okay. So just one last request here. What have you done to improve the engagement experience? Do you feel like there's been a true change? Have you made an impact, a positive impact? What type of positive impact have you made? Anyone out there? Even if it was just awareness. I mean, I don't want to apply any pressure to anybody if you feel like you haven't, oh my gosh, I made everything perfect. Everybody is 100% satisfied. That's not the expectation. But did anybody on the line feel like they have a more conscious awareness of the value of this side of things and the impact this can really have? We have regional manager Rachel. We have really focused on positivity and listening with the team. That's so important. Our team's responses were alarming when we thought they were doing great. Exactly. And Rachel, that is not just your experience. That is everyone's, I think. We can't measure, and I said this to a team leader earlier this year, we can't measure performance on effort and time spent. We have to measure it by results. And that's a completely different game when we can click with that point that it's not effort, it's results. It changes things, right? That's how we're really assessing our own work as leaders. So absolutely, Rachel, I think you're not alone. Anything besides 100% caught everyone's attention, right? But really focusing on positivity and listening rather than just guessing, right? We think we know what our intentions are. We think we're hitting the mark, but let's ask. Recognition, that's a great one. Yeah, the importance of recognition. I think the impact has been great. Little things go a long way. Absolutely couldn't agree with you more, Justin. The awareness has been helpful. It's confirmed our view of how things were going. We haven't had time to implement some of the specific tools. No worries at all. That awareness plays out probably subconsciously. I think there's a lot of people on this line that are doing some of these things without even realizing it, because it's just how you, it's your focus, and it's in you as a leader. That desire to please the team is there, whether you're aware of it or not. But just having the awareness that we have some work to do plays out day to day. I'm sure of it. Allison shares the same. Total awareness for me made me step up my game on check-ins. She no longer assumes everyone is happy. Exactly. That's great feedback.
Another thing that was in the chat earlier, Megan, from Allison, that I really liked, she said, it's really made me mindful when I do see the service providers. I used to run past them with a quick hello because I've got a lot going on, but now I stop and ask them about their day. It's amazing what I've
Wow.
learned about my employees by doing this. One MT has 3 grown children, and I had no idea. I love that. I think that's
Oh my
huge.
gosh, that actually makes me emotional to think that these are people that we've worked with for so long, and we've learned so much about them in just a few short months. I thank you, Kelsey. I can't believe I missed that. That's such a powerful share. That was amazing. Yeah, these are, we're not all here for the same reason. And that's eye-opening for us to consider that. And to be able to make this people business, I have to borrow from Mike's video when we opened. This is a people business, and we're forgetting about the people sometimes. Prioritizing our staff on a daily basis rather than as a secondary thought, right? Especially for those who show up and do their job thoroughly every time. Recognizing high performers, even if they're easy employees. Easy employees, what a great phrase. You're right. The people that don't necessarily need these things, or at least vocalize their need for these things, it's still important to recognize them. That's a really good point. And Rachel shares this has been really great with new managers that we have been training in 2 of our new spas with these responses and toolkits to help them start brand new with the team and how to start handling the team members and their issues, needs, wants. What a great training opportunity. You're right. We actually started using these surveys for acquisitions. So whenever we've had resales, transfers is what we refer to them. You're basically a new Hand and Stone owner stepping into an existing Hand and Stone spa. And what a great list of initiatives that they're able to gain from this is, this is how the team currently feels. And more important, not what they feel is wrong, but what they really like. So the power of having a new owner step in with new management, being able to say, this is what the members of the team really, really loved. And let's make sure we can keep this going. So that was a really cool thing that came out of this partnership with Go Happy. So
Also, what a way to set your new managers up for success. There's nothing more intimidating coming on as a new leader to an already established location that maybe has a tight-knit team and trying to find your place in that. So setting them up with these tools already, I feel like really gives them a leg up. So nice work,
yeah,
Rachel.
what a position of power, because you're in the know.
Mm-hmm.
Great point, Rachel. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I love how engaged everybody is. This is really great. So just as a quick send off, we just want to let you know there are some smaller surveys. We call them pulse surveys that are in the works still, just to make everybody aware of. So tomorrow, Mike's going to be sending out a new hire survey. So to all of the employees that were hired during the test program within the last 60 days, for 60 days. So people that were hired and are hitting that 60-day mark, ask questions about the onboarding experience in particular, which is really that's the kind of surveys that you'll have access to launch at any point, however frequently you would want to, should you choose to sign on to Go Happy. Then next Monday on the 26th, we're going to be asking a series of scored follow-up questions on engagement, where we test the action and impact. So the recognition pulse survey is what we're calling that. And then we just have one final spa leader feedback survey. So next Wednesday, sending to all spa leaders via email to collect final thoughts and feedback. So that survey is going to be sent directly to all of you that are on the line, asking you for some final thoughts on the test program itself. So that'll be pretty cool. Okay, so unless anybody else has anything to either ask or offer, I can't thank you enough for this kind of feedback and encouragement that Mike and I are ready to bring this to the entire system. We feel so passionately about this topic, and it just, you're in a position of power here, and you can affect change in a positive way, but we're not using the power of a franchise if we don't put our heads together on this and really feel like we have the opportunity to learn from one another through our experiences. So this is awesome. Thanks everybody for making time for this discussion and for your endorsement on this initiative. So thank you also, Marlo and Kelsey, for joining us and bestowing your advice here. I think that was nice to bring attention to some of
Good job, everyone. And thank you, Megan, for all that you and Mike have been doing.
Mhm.
The program's just going to be really great to have.
Thank you. Thank you. This part's the easy part. It's everybody out there taking action on all of this.
I can't wait to bring it to Canada.
Very good. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you so much.